Welcome to AEC's Powering What Matters Most podcast. My name is Kim McGhee. I am the AEC Community Relations Coordinator, and I am here today with Mr. Dean Anderson with Tennessee 811, and we are going to be discussing, this is National Safety Digging Month, and we're going to talk to Dean about the importance of making that 811 call. So, Dean, welcome.
Welcome. It's good to be here. Thank you, Kim, for having me. It's good to be here and to be a part of the adventure today here at AEC as being one of our members. It's a delight to come over here, and I'm looking forward to the questions and being able to answer things that the members will find very useful.
Great. Thank you. So explain what Tennessee 811 is.
Okay. Tennessee 811 is a facility that we facilitate the operation of and information sharing from utilities and our members, as well as from the general public. What we do is we take the information in that is relayed to us either by the utilities, excavators, homeowners, whoever they may be. We take that information in, we then look at that information, and we then send it out to the different members and utilities where the excavation is going to be done in order to facilitate the marking of all underground utilities.
All right, I like that. Can you tell us why it's important for an AEC member to call 811 before starting a project?
Okay. The importance of calling is the fact whether you are a utility, whether you are an excavator, or you are a homeowner or business owner. The importance of doing so is so that we can then take that information and we will take it in due to the databases that are set up from the member utilities. We will take that information in and then find out exactly what utilities are around that particular area. And in doing so, we then send that information out to them so that the member utilities can get their utilities marked to try to prevent someone doing some form of damage to the infrastructure.
Right. Okay. So when a member is starting a home project, whether it be putting up a fence, a mailbox, planting trees, gardening, things of that nature, are these the types of projects, or what types of projects do they need to call 811 before starting?
Kim, that's a great topics and great information in there, in that all of those that you mentioned, whether it be a homeowner, excavator, utility doing the contractor doing the work, or utility, the idea of calling in that ticket is in order to get the underground, whether it be underground utilities, located, because no one wants to damage them. So for example, it's coming up on the weekend, you know you're going to want to do some work this coming weekend. So maybe on Monday or Tuesday you call in 811. It's just as simple as that. Dial 811. Once you've made that dial, our agents take your information down. As I said earlier, we then disseminate that information out to the utilities, and in order to get that utility located. Now, no one is exempt from that. So if you're doing, according to state law, if you're digging within your yard or at a business or whatever the case may be, you are, based upon the definition of what is an excavation, you're moving dirt, rock, whatever. If you're going out and you're going to till up the garden, or you're going to be tilling up your front yard because you want to reseed it and sow it, that kind of information requires a ticket. And the idea is to protect the underground utilities, but it's to protect you, the homeowner, businessman, excavator, utility, from potential harm by striking an in-ground utility.
Okay, nice to know. We do have a lot of folks who will, once those utilities are connected and everything's hooked up, they're adding additions and things of that nature. So, all right. So additions, definitely.
Additions, any kind of construction on that. Even something simple as planting a tree in your front yard. This is Safe Digging Month. It is April after all. Spring is on us, and so you're going to end up you're going to be doing digging in your yard. Now, no one wants to be without internet. No one wants to be without telephone. No one wants to be without power or any other utility. So the importance of, no matter what the project is is to call and get it located ahead of time so that when you're ready to do the project, you know where it's at,
Right.
and hopefully nothing drastic happens.
Perfect. Okay, that's great information. What kind of time frame should an AEC member be aware of
Okay.
from the time they make that call to the end?
Okay. Great question.
Okay.
And the importance of that is to understand it is the basic ticket or regular ticket that's called in is based on 72 hours or 3 business days. So it excludes weekends, the counting of those 72 hours. It excludes any holidays that occur during the week in that process. So 3 business days. Each ticket lasts, that is good for 15 total business days, 15 days. So you call in a ticket, you wait your 72 hours or 3 business days. That's why I said earlier a moment ago was that if you're going to do something on the weekend, call on a Monday or Tuesday. Now that's more than 72 hours, but that just gives the utilities time to have their representatives come out and mark it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gives them a little leeway, but that ensures that it gets marked prior to when you're wanting to start your work. And so you wait that time frame, and then you'll check your responses to make sure everybody has put a response into the system, that they've been out there, that they've done something, either what we would call is clear, no conflict, which means the utility, that utility, whatever it is, whoever is on the list, example, AEC, and it might be the electric side,
Mm-hmm.
says clear, no conflict. That means there's nothing buried within the area that you specified on the ticket, as well as Tri-Light being the fiber, etc. It may say located marked. If it says located marked, that means you should be expecting some paint that is associated with that particular color. So being that it's telecommunications and fiber, that's going to be an orange paint. Now there may be orange paint and or flags as a component there. So you're just looking for a corresponding paint, and if it says located marked, you're looking for paint.
Okay, I like that. How would a member know? Well, I guess that just answered my question of how a member would know you all have been there. But say there's nothing to mark. How would they know that you've been there? Do you leave some type of stake, marking, anything to let everyone know that you've been there, or is that even a thing?
You know, it's a great question. It depends on the utilities. I've worked in some areas and some arenas that the utility requires the locate company that when they go out there to mark on their behalf, if there's nothing in the way, to leave a flag that has OK clear on it as a form of documentation. I don't know of any around our area here. This was out of state when I was managing locating companies and locators that required that. So to wait for them to find out for sure, they go outside, the ticket has come legal, the 72-hour waiting period is up, and they go outside and they don't see anything on the ground, they check their positive response. So they go back onto the website, they can go and put in the ticket number they have, and once they put in the ticket number and they select that look, it'll come up and it'll show a list of positive responses. It'll be each utility, and then what's in red there will be the response.
Okay.
So it'll say clear, no conflict, or it'll say located marked, facility marked. It might say in conflict. If it says in conflict, that means whatever utility that is in direct conflict with what the work's being done.
Okay.
So you have to know those things so that you could reach out and do, or your contractor do appropriate.
Perfect. So I'm going to back up just a little bit here. I know you all give out a card that has different color options, or not options, different colors for the different utilities. You mentioned that earlier, maybe communications was orange. Did I hear that correct? Okay.
Yes.
What do the different colors mean?
Okay. We use and associated with the Common Ground Alliance and an acceptable color card is the APWA color code, Association of Public Utility Workers Association. And it's a color code, so think of it as a rainbow. Okay. Red being, you think of red as commonly hot, so what is hot? Electric.
Electric.
What is cold? blue, water, right?
Okay.
Green, sewer. Purple is non-potable water. That's like water that's irrigation. It's non-drinkable.
Okay.
White is what's called your proposed excavation area. So you would, if you're going to take down a tree, you might put white circle around on the grass and paint, or a white flag where you're planning on doing the work. That's to identify the work area. Yellow meaning gas.
Okay.
And then, of course, orange is telecommunications. And pink is like a survey ticket.
Okay. Right. So that's a lot of good information. A couple of those I didn't even know. So thank you. I love that. Who is responsible from Tennessee 811 for communicating with the member after a call has been placed and the 811 process has started? Who's responsible for communicating that, or how is that communicated?
Okay. That's a great question. In this process, when the call comes into 811, now you can do it one of two ways. You can either make the phone call by dialing 811, or you can go online and put in what's called an e-ticket or electronic ticket. Homeowners can do that, as well as businesses and so utilities can do that as well. You go in, if you do it online, you go in, you follow the prompts, you put in the information you need, and then one of our lead agents will review that ticket in order to make sure everything on it is correct. And should there be a discrepancy or they may have some concern, they will reach out, let's say to you, Kim, at AEC, and say, hey, let's talk about this ticket. Here's what I have. Here are my concerns. And make any changes if necessary. And then what happens is we then communicate that to the utilities. Now, if you call on the phone, our agents take the information down. They work with you on the phone. Typical phone call, maybe 3 to 5 minutes once you get onto the phone call, and then they go through and ask you the questions, and we're able to take that database. So AEC has a database with 811 that is their service area.
Okay.
And so if you are out doing the work, or you're going to replace a pole, or you're going to be putting in in-ground primary somewhere to a new pad mount transformer, whatever the case may be, or you're a homeowner and you're going to put a fence up in the backyard in this process. So they take that database, they find your information, and then we notify all the utilities that fall within that grid or within that block that would be notified around, let's say, your house, for example. All those members are notified, and once they're notified, the utility operators then either send out their in-house locator, or that is sent on to their third-party locating company, and then that company sends its representative out. They paint the marks on the ground, or they put in a response if it's clear, and then once they do that within their system, is transmitted back to 811. Then you, the homeowner, the contractor, the excavator, the utility, are then to check your positive responses to make sure all of the positive responses are in. That's how the communication works.
Okay, great. Are they notified via email, via phone call? I mean, can you get either or? Is that even a legit question to ask? As far as like the responses, would the member get an email from anyone, like an email communication?
A member might get an email communication from or a phone call should another utility or their locators having difficulty locating. So if you're having trouble, or the gas company out here, Atmos Gas, is having issues with locating that gas main, and it happens to be running in front of that pole, or your services are hard to locate, they may call you on the phone, whoever the contact is here that's listed on the ticket. We're having issues doing that. Can you hold off on this till we can find it and get it marked to know exactly what it is? That's a form of communication that can go between excavator locators, which is really, in my opinion, a best practice. I would like to think everybody does that, but it's not always the case. And so looking at your positive responses, one positive response sometimes that lets you think that there's an issue with the locating or something going on out there is if you see something that says locate delayed. Locate delayed means the ticket's merely been touched, but there's a potential issue with locating that utility. And then a best practice would be, it's not always a common practice, but a best practice would be then that representative and that utility reaching out to whoever the contractor excavator is, and as I said a moment ago, letting them know, hey, here's what's going on. We're having trouble locating this gas main, so give us some time. We'll get it done. I'll let you notify. We'll mark it, make sure.
Okay, great. So it's just going to kind of vary from circumstances are going to be different from locate to locate.
Yes.
So, okay, that makes sense. If a member does not call 811 and hits a utility causing lots of damage, who's responsible for the cost of that damage? And if a member hits something and something has been marked incorrectly, like how does that work for a member? Who's responsible for all that? It's kind of two questions in one, sorry.
No, that's okay. I like it. It's good stuff. So basically, the first part of the question is, if, according to state law, you the homeowner, you the excavator, you the utility are not exempt from having tickets. They're calling a dig ticket. If you're disturbing the ground, you're moving the dirt, you're doing whatever, you're required by law to have your own ticket. Okay? So you call in to have it located. Now, you will be considered at fault by pretty much all utilities that if you go out and start digging without a dig ticket, you didn't call 811, you didn't take the time, you might have those simple excuses of, well, I know where everything is. I've done this for 40 years. I know what's going on. I can feel it in the dirt as I'm digging. The problem with that is you feel it at the time you damage it. And you might get lucky on the other times you don't hit anything. But with the right-of-ways now becoming so full of utilities trying to carve out their space, and especially in your subterranean levels in the ground, there's not much room out there in a lot of places. So if you don't have a dig ticket, a legitimate active ticket, and you go out and you damage something, you're going to be held responsible, that being the company, or if you're a homeowner and you don't call one in, you damage something, you'll be held responsible to pay for the cost of the repair, and hopefully nothing else on that. The second part is, if you called in a dig ticket and it's been located, you've got that beautiful paint out there and those wonderful flags in your yard, and in that process you get out there and you start digging with, I know it's weekend time, it's coming close, the weekend warriors are out, they go rent the equipment and they've got the marks, but they don't spot the utility. Common ones that get damaged a lot of times, especially is gas, for example. Your gas service can get damaged. Telecommunications gets damaged because they're more into the yard. They come up and all the way to the gas comes all the way to the house. The electric could come all the way to the house. They have varying depths, and you never go by what is supposed to be the anticipated depth. But you find the marks there, and you don't spot that. The only true way to know the depth of something is to actually carefully dig to the utility, to the marked utility, not directly on top of it, but dig from the side to the utility so the dirt falls away. And then you know how deep it is. So if you're going to cross it, you've got a trencher or whatever the case may be, now you know exactly where it's at, you know exactly how deep it is, you can adjust accordingly to prevent that damage. But if it's marked inaccurately, in other words, now there's a difference. You have what in Tennessee called a tolerance zone or a safety zone. So what that means is where the mark that you have on the ground, that's, let's say for electric, it's red, dashes on the ground, maybe some flags there indicating AEC. So you've got electric going through there. On either side of that mark, you get 2 feet of safety zone. And now that 2 feet means I've got 24 inches total on either side. I've got about 4 feet of span. So if you're going to cross that or digging or utility or equipment, etc. in the ground,
Mm-hmm.
mechanized equipment in the ground, you need to spot that before you bring that across, that mechanized equipment across. That's talking about that hand digging, that potholing, if you will, prior to that. Once you do that, you know exactly how deep it is. Let's say if it's another utility and it's inaccurately marked, they've got a mark here, but 4 feet away, you think you're okay here, so digging 4 feet away, you're outside the 2 foot tolerance zone, you think I'm okay. But you happen to be digging that 4 feet away and you happen to hit that utility. Okay? In that case, the utilities should do, and the marking companies more likely, will do a damage investigation. But based upon the tolerance zone, it was marked here, 4 feet away was actually where it's at. It's an unmarked or mismarked locate.
Okay.
Whoever the locating company is that did it should be held responsible for its repair.
Okay. And these locating companies are third party, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I didn't know if they were actually 811 employees or third party. So
No.
Thank you for clarifying that. Because we will get calls sometimes from our membership, and they will ask questions like, "Hey, there's a truck out here painting marks in my yard. Is this one of your guys?" And our usual response is they may be marking underground locates. Just so that we can reassure them, hey, they're marking utilities, but they do not work for us.
Right.
But it's good to know that they are third party and not just 811 employees.
Well, let me clear up something here.
Oh, okay.
Because that could be a misconception.
Okay.
A lot of people think that 811 sends the people out to do the locate, so they're 811 employees.
Okay.
They are not.
Okay.
They are not. 811 does not locate. We're not a government agency. We're not the dig police. We don't stop by and say, "You got a ticket for you." We don't do any of that.
Okay.
We're the clearinghouse of information, the repository. So AEC puts a ticket in because they're going to be replacing a couple poles.
Mm-hmm.
We then send that out to the utilities that are around that area. They respond back. You guys check the positive response. You guys are good to go. We don't send anybody out there to locate. We're not responsible for that at all.
Okay.
So
that's great to know.
we're a nonprofit organization, and all we do is facilitate the use of information between our members, being that one, for example, AEC,
Mm-hmm.
and the general public, or contractor, excavator, homeowner, whoever it may be.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
That will help us when members call in. We can share that with them as well. Is there any other important high points that you may want to talk about that our members would benefit from? Or have we kind of touched on most everything?
I think there's one more, but we didn't really touch on, but
Okay.
I think it's important to note,
Okay.
is that no one is exempt from digging. So, in the sense of everybody that's going to be digging, basically excavating in their yard, whether it be with a shovel and you're going down deeper than 12 inches, or you got a mini X, or you're potholing, or you're putting a fence up, or whatever the case may be. Everybody has to, under the state law, everybody has to have their own ticket. Unfortunately, sometimes contractors will say, you call in, homeowner, you call in to have the area marked, we will come out and then do the work. But now if we happen to damage something, you guys have to pay for it, not us. See, state law says, and dealing with state law is, everybody has to have their own excavation. So, Kim, you call it a ticket for your house, not knowing that they're supposed to have that ticket. You can legally dig and do the work on there.
Mm-hmm.
If they dig and do the work on there, and they damage something, then the utility will hold them responsible. But they could come back on you and say, well, you had a ticket. Well, I wasn't doing the digging. Under state law, and the fact is, so Joe Blow Excavating over here is coming out to do the work. He has to have his own ticket.
Okay, that's good to know.
And so, let's say then if it's a general contractor doing the work and you're having a room addition on, you got a general contractor even doing that. Someone else can't use his ticket number to dig. Okay, you can't work off of someone else's ticket.
Okay.
So a subcontractor can't work off of a general contractor's ticket. Even the subcontractor has to have his or her own ticket in order to be legal in the guidelines. So it's good to know that. I sort of want homeowners to think, well, I've got to do this because they asked me to do that, etc., and then now I got to pay for it because they damaged it. Not within under state law. So homeowners just have to say, no, you have to have your own dig ticket.
Okay.
So that's just one important note that I find that I heard today here at the event that I was able to participate in, is that a lot of the homeowners did not know or were not aware of that.
Oh, wow. I myself was not aware of that. So thank you again this has been some great information. Thank you for being here today.
Thank
I
you
don't
for
know
the
that I
opportunity
have
to
any,
be here.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I don't know that I have any other questions, unless you have anything else you want to add.
If you need anything, my name is Dean Anderson, and I work for Tennessee 811. I cover all of East Tennessee. You can find my phone number and information on our website as under liaison information. But I am available to answer questions 5 days a week, and I get it pretty much off and on all day long, which is okay. That's what the job is to do. I would rather have the information out and to educate than for people not know.
Yeah, same. I feel the same. Guys, thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. Again, this is National Safety Digging Month, so safe digging, make those 811 calls, and we look forward to bringing you another episode soon.